It's time for the shop report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. As always, we'd like to remind you that the shop, of course, being brought to you by none other than the fine folks over at Rocket Digital Media. It's the one-stop shop for all your digital marketing needs. You can look them up on Facebook at RDM Detroit, or you can slide on over to the website, rocketdigital.net. That's ROCKIT digital.net. And make sure when you're there or while you're there, you tell them the BSJ sent you. Joining me on the P program today is none other than my cat from the NYC. I don't know why he missed a shot there. AKA Rucker Park. Brother Rich, what's happening? Yeah. I mean, like in love and basketball, man. You blew the layup.
Well, we blow the layup sometimes. It's okay. Everybody blows the layup.
No, it's not. No.
Rest in peace, Kobe.
You're Kobe.
No, everybody.
You're a Kobe guy, right? You
just showed footage of Kobe. Of course, I am.
Okay, well then Kobe don't miss layups.
You just showed a photo of him, a tape of him missing a layup.
Okay.
We miss layups. It's like the Cowboys. Y'all haven't won a title in how many years?
Absolutely
Hurricanes.
Not. I just showed.
It's like it's like guaranteed, like hurricane blotter reports. It's like as guaranteed as the Cowboys won't win a ring, and the Miami Hurricanes will have a lot of police blotters. Some things are guaranteed. So you're guaranteed to miss every once in a while.
It's all good. But we all love Uncle Luke though, and we all like going to South Beach. Yeah. Stay out of the Cleveland dirt.
And we still love anyway. And we still love.
Exactly. Yeah. We hate it, but we love to hate it, but we hate it because we love it. Yeah, I got you.
We love.
And anyway, on the other side of the ledger. And we got my man from up north, Joey James, aka Double J. Don't cut that out. Tell the people what you say.
Wow, how do I follow that up? I'll just say, of course, glad to be here with you both.
Seriously?
That didn't take long.
Yeah, of course not. But leave it up to you two. It never takes long, and I'm so glad for that.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Double J can't follow that up because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Oh,
fair enough.
Really? Yeah.
Fair enough.
That was absolutely unnecessary. Matter of fact, flag on the play, 15-yard penalty on number 65, holding. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, are we ready to do the show today or no? Or should we just? Are we ready? I'm just saying I got to check in
We're
first.
Ready,
all right. Yeah. Well, I mean, far be it from me to say, as Brother Rich, you just alluded to before we came on live here. Oh, and by the way, we are live Facebook and YouTube, our Facebook, the shop's Facebook fan page. As you alluded to, Brother Rich, this year's NBA playoffs, I'm gonna let in your words, was what again?
Fantastic. It's the best we've seen in years. And it portends to be the best basketball we've seen in a lot of years. Absolutely.
Okay.
The NBA is living up to its marketing moniker.
I like the choice of words. Marketing moniker for all you small market people who don't, you know what I'm saying, who still can't figure out why the Indians have not won a World Series. Oh my, I'm sorry. I'll give myself the button. Yeah, sorry, I was having
you earned that one. You did
low.
I was having a moment. Yeah. So what we're going to do here, of course, is go over some of the first round action. I picked a few of the games that I thought kind of stood out. And, and to me, most people weren't expecting. A few brackets actually got busted, you know what I'm saying, a lot earlier than, again, what most people were expecting. So we'll start with the Blazers and the Nuggets. Double J, what did you see from that series in general? And if you want to be more specific from the Blazers side of things, and then maybe tell us what you saw from the Nuggets side of things and why that, unfortunately, the Blazers got 4-2'd. Yeah, that's what I say too. Slam the door.
In the Nuggets sure did. This is some, we thought this evening, that we would be seeing, many did, a Game 7. And without Jamal Murray is really the key to all of this. I told you guys on the last program that this result is ultimately what needed to happen in order for Portland to get over the hump. Despite the consistency with, I believe, 8 straight playoffs made, they have not really they have nothing really to show for it. And despite Damian Lillard's not only loyalty, but consistency from being able to make history and have but back-to-back buzzer-beating shots is just ridiculous. And to say that he did so in a loss is even more heartbreaking. But the Joker, I'll say this. Yeah. We haven't seen a Joker this good since 2008.
Oh, wow. I just wanted to point out to folks that my man, Brother Rich, will be joining us, coming back to us. Actually, he's having a few technical difficulties, but, these things happen. I'm with you, Double J. From the Blazers side, in my opinion, they use up a lot of energy to score, and none or little to none for, towards getting stops. This team was capable of winning. I think Melo should have played more, in this series. I don't.
Well, you hit it on the head. He should have played a bigger role in the series.
Yeah.
And it absolutely nailed it right there that his absence was equally as important on the offensive side as the team's was defensively.
Okay, well, in your opinion or your estimation, with Stotts being out, from a player standpoint, what changes, if any, should the Blazers make?
A lot. And not from a personnel standpoint, from a player personnel standpoint.
Okay.
This is a system change. As you just pointed out, their offensive efficiency may have been there, but it was at the expense of the defensive efficiency. This is very reminiscent of a Warriors team pre-Steve Kerr. And so looking at the candidates that are on that short list, first of all, if you are a Portland supporter and fan, it is time to be excited, because everyone on that list is of value and someone that I would personally want if Dwayne Casey were to walk away from the Pistons tomorrow. And this is good. My personal pick, who I believe they will actually end up going with, is going to end up being likely Jason Kidd. If it were up to me, I would probably poach Juwan Howard by any means necessary from Michigan.
Really? I'm interested. What about Sam Cassell?
I thought about him, but again, in order, it would have been, for me, it would be Juwan Howard, Chauncey Billups. Then you go with Jason Kidd and Sam I Am.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, good. I'm glad you're back, bro, Rich, because we can
I'm having a little problem with my internet. Yes.
Yeah, it's all good. So, Double J, right quick, you see when you mentioned, okay, in your list of candidates, would Sam Cassell be first?
No, despite kind of he's been in the league forever, and it is very Juwan Howard-esque. But now, after what I've seen with what Howard did at Michigan in just that short amount of time, and I get it, there's a huge gap between the levels of play. But generally, with former, with alumni, if you will, in the sense of being playing in the league, and then of course coaching in the league, albeit as an assistant for the length of time that he did with Miami, the only other there's no other person, again, with the exception of Sam Cassell, that, and maybe then Jason Kidd, you could start rolling that out there. But I still have a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth after Jason Kidd's last stint in the league.
Yeah.
So that's why I worry about. I know that's who Dame tweeted.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to mention that. Dame came out openly and said he'd like Jason Kidd. And from my understanding, Jason Kidd, because of that, supposedly, you don't know how much is true or what ain't true, supposedly removed his name from consideration because of the outward comments by Dame. But hey, we'll see what's what. I thought it interesting you mentioned Chauncey Billups too. Sound like might be a little Michigan bias in there. Brother Rich. If you look at the Blazers Nuggets, as I just mentioned, from the Blazers side of things, they seem to put most of their energy into scoring as opposed to getting stops. What did you see? Well, lost him again there. All right, let's see if we get him back.
I don't know what's going on with this thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. We can definitely hear you. So yeah. If we can hear you, there you
I
go.
don't know what's happening with this internet, man. But
here's
the thing.
What'd you say? Repeat that. Yeah, you kind of going in and out on us. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, he had to drop out. Hopefully we can get him back for sure. But
joys of technology.
Yeah, technology, right? But Double J, let's while we're waiting on Brother Rich to come back to us, we will revisit some of these things once we get him back.
Oh yeah.
Let's move on to the Suns and the Lakers. Wait a minute, is this him again? Okay, here we go.
Is that better now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. You're a little fuzzy, but that's okay. As long as we can
we'll
hear
deal
you
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll roll with it. So let's go back to you then. What did you see from this Blazers Nuggets series and the outcome?
Well, Dame needs some help. But Dame's problem is going to be what Dame's problem has always been. It's going to be very difficult to get somebody to go live in Portland and play basketball.
Yeah, you've been saying that. Yeah,
these are the problems of that's the problem. The only person that wants to go to Portland is somebody, a player like our man Carmelo, who had to go there to reclaim his status as a legit NBA player. So you're going to get a player that's kind of fighting for a career. But in terms of a legit second banana, if you will, a Robin to his Batman kind of thing, to get somebody to go to Portland to do that, that's going to be because that's a tough sell. You're not going to get Zion to go there. You're not going to get Giannis to go there. You're not going to get Kawhi to go there. You're not going to get those kinds of players to go there. They're going to choose other markets. You could have gotten a Jimmy Butler to go there, but he's already signed in Miami. You could have gotten a player of let's say Blake Griffin's stature at that time, a Blake Griffin type, but he was being demoted when he was sent to Detroit. But in fact, Dame is going to have to look around in a few years, and they're going to make some. And this is why I believe, and others believe, Jason Kidd doesn't take that job, because ultimately he knows that next year LeBron is going to blame Vogel, and he's going to fire him like halfway into the season, and Jason Kidd is going to get the Laker job. And he knows that if I go to Portland, Dame is probably going to leave in a couple of years, and I'm going to be blamed for us not. We're never going to win, and I'm just going to be up there living in Portland. What job would you stay and take?
Yeah, well, I mean, Bill Walton's not walking through that door.
Come on.
That's all I'm saying.
Come on.
That's what I was going to ask, because you pointed that out about how hard of a sell it is, and then you think of the days of Rasheed Wallace, Bonzi Wells, Scottie Pippen.
That was a good team, though.
Absolutely, it was. That's why I'm wondering why we
Brian
think
Grant,
now,
I believe, was on that team. Jermaine O'Neal was on that team.
But here's the thing. Double J alluded to it a minute ago. He was talking about it as I was having studio problems. That I believe you all were talking about certain types of coaches, Chauncey Billups.
Right.
Our brother in Michigan. And some
Juwan
of these
Howard.
Juwan Howard and some of these other coaches on that level. that would be a fabulous job for them to take. But are they going to have an opportunity to take it, or are we looking at a retread? Because we're already hearing names that Van Gundy. Oh no, they already threw out Van Gundy.
Yeah, they already threw it out there.
Twitter.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that.
Who else?
I'm glad you brought that up because I was just getting ready to, when you finished, I was going to add to that.
Yeah, they're going to throw out George Carl's,
who it is.
Carl's name next.
Yes, I'm sick of the.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He's being cynical, but facetious or whatever.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You never know.
Yeah. But I was getting ready to say that, no matter who it is, I'm done. I'm sick of seeing the retreads.
Fact.
If for no other reason, some of the other guys or the guys that Double J and yourself have mentioned, they deserve a chance just because the retread is a cliche.
Do we want to get selective though? Do we really, as Brother Rich just pointed out, all of those host of reasons about the future of the franchise as a whole in a short 12 months. If you're new to coaching and 12 months into the gig, your star and really the face of the franchise for the better part of the last decade disappears and leaves you out, and now you're up the creek with no paddle in a small market. So could that be is that why somebody like Jason Kidd's saying thanks but no thanks, because he doesn't need a crystal ball to see that future being a reality.
Facts. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's them all good points. Actually, I'll give you the button on that one. I do so begrudgingly. I really do. But the last question on that. So as far as, the issues in Portland, because they are glaring, but Double J will stay. Well, Brother Rich, actually, then we'll come back to you, Double J. Is that a league problem or a Trailblazer problem?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. All right. Double J, go ahead.
Here's the issue. The league just started featuring teams like the Portland Trailblazers.
Right. Memphis Grizzlies.
The Memphis Grizzlies. So that they didn't even make those markets. They don't even push those markets. This is why this offseason.
Ordinarily.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Ordinarily, those markets are literally being forced upon us by the greatness of those stars that are emerging there. Dame made us understand, wait a minute, the Portland Trailblazers exist. We're paying attention to the Memphis Grizzlies. Some fans found out there was an actual viable team in Memphis when we heard about this young kid called Jon Rahm and the wonderful basketball he's playing and the exhibitions he's putting on, where he himself, like a young Allen Iverson, willed his team into the playoff and actually won a game, much like AI won a game by himself in the finals. So we're looking at that kind of talent level, and that's what we're finding out about a team like Memphis. But the league wanted the Lakers every year, and then now the Lakers are out, and just organically we see what's happening in the NBA.
Yeah, so you say, I'm glad you use that term or word, organically, because with the Lakers out, now we can get to see what the rest of the NBA looks like.
What it looked like. Yes.
Yeah, what it looked like.
Now look at Utah. For the longest time, nobody took Utah seriously. Now we're all paying attention.
Attention to Utah.
Maybe we have to pay attention
to the Jazz. And you mentioned Lakers, of course. Now that you're back, we can talk about the Lakers and Suns, and we'll stay with you. What in the world happened? I didn't know who was going to show up for the Suns, whether it was going to be Chris Paul or Cliff Paul, because there was a few moments in there where I thought it might be the State Farm guy. I'm just saying, man, I got a different kind of eye. I'll give myself the button. Not the one you all expected. All right. So, Brother Rich, what was your take, seeing how you out there on sunny side up California, Hollywood, I should say. What was your take from the Lakers and the Suns? Seeing how you are doing. I'm just amazed at this, your ensemble. 1 week is the Washington Generals, and then the next week, it's the Brooklyn Nets. I wish you'd make up my mind. Who are you rooting for?
Here's the thing. We know that you're going to find a way before this show is over to mention the Dallas Cowboys. So let's do it.
Absolutely not.
And move
Absolutely
on,
not.
Right? We already helped you with the Miami Hurricane reference earlier, but
that's right.
I'm a proud supporter of absolutely
anybody that wins.
Absolutely the Dodgers, and absolutely the Los Angeles Clippers. But nevertheless, and of course, we know in a few more months our season will roll around in the Cleveland Browns.
Oh boy,
but we can move on from that.
Yes,
but
we got plenty of shows upcoming or forthcoming on this NFL season. Yes, we do.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about this series here. We had a disciple of Kobe Bryant, and then we had an individual who some people refer to him, and he has referred to himself as the GOAT. And I think this series was a litmus test for us to really put that argument to rest once and for all.
Yeah,
because we all
there should have never been an argument in the first place.
No, we know this.
Outlandish.
It was very a flawed argument from its inception, but that's not the issue at point. We're talking about what we were all able. We initially this campaign began by being proclaimed. We are all witnesses. We were all witnesses to this. To this game. Where D-Book,
oh my God.
We witnessed D-Book look like the disciple of somebody who impacted him so much that he tattooed on his arm the words of his mentor, "Be legendary." And what we saw that young man put on, the exhibition we saw him put on, we can all agree he certainly was legendary. He arrived on the national basketball stage in a very prominent way by dethroning the self-proclaimed king of the NBA, and we all were able to see, wait a minute, maybe perhaps this argument was kind of flawed from the beginning, that when it's time to show up, when you know you don't have your second guy in your car with you, and it's just you, and we got to see what you're made of. Let's see what you bring to the table.
That's the part that the Brown apologists refuse to acknowledge and have been.
That's right.
When it's time for you to show up, like Larry Nance Jr. just pointed out in a post. In a Facebook post, Larry Nance Jr. said, you got to be ready. When you're playing with that dude, you got to be ready for the highest of the highs. But when the lows come, be ready to understand that you got to be the one to take the blame, because he ain't. Though that last part was added by me. But yes, when it's time for you, I'm so glad you said it that way, brother. My goodness, man. You always getting all of the good ones today. What happened?
This is the thing I want.
The sun must be shining out there. Is that Kobe in the background I see?
Absolutely.
Oh my God!
This is the thing I want. The listeners to think about with basketball in particular. Basketball in particular is the sport that one player can win the game, because in the nature of the game of basketball is I have the ball and I dare you to stop me without fouling me or without doing something that is considered illegal according to the tenets of the game. So in basketball, one player could, as D-Book did, we all can say D-Book won that game. D-Book won that. We all can say that Dame Lillard is the person who took the Portland Trailblazers as far as they got. It was Dame Lillard. He won those games really by himself, 50, 60, 45. Basketball is a game in which one player can at one night score 81 points. Rest in peace to the greatest of one of the greatest of all time.
You don't get the button on that because it's already understood. Need not be expressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yes. Not the buttons. But you know what? To your point about D-Book, I'll say this. There were flashes of what we grew up watching in terms of his approach.
Facts.
As we've seen, and we're going to mention, of course, the case with Trae Young.
Yep.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Taking
another Kobe disciple. Another Kobe disciple.
Exactly. You know, this dude is like, it don't matter your gym or my gym. You're gonna have to understand if you beat me, you're gonna have to have done took it.
Another Kobe disciple.
And that's the only thing I'm talking about when it comes to this hoop. I put it like this. Up until this year's playoffs, the game itself had been hard for me to watch. You know, all I've been saying, style of play, basketball to the ABA. I am thoroughly impressed by what I'm seeing from the guys we are mentioning here in terms of it ain't how many points and you know how sexy you look. I'm coming at you all game long, and you better be ready for it.
And you know, there's an argument going around that Charles Barkley put out that something must be wrong with Anthony Davis. And here's what, consider this. Anthony Davis is a person that can play basketball. Kobe Bryant is a basketball player. There's a difference between somebody that can play basketball and a basketball.
It's an absolute difference. Yeah. Woo, yeah, Brother Rich, you're smoking. Double J. Yeah, Double J. Yeah, slow it down, Kimosabi. Slow it on down. We got a few more extra rounds. Double J. So, I mean, how do you follow what Brother Richie just said right there? It must be the LA gear. What did you?
Yeah, he's off. He's lighting up. That's for sure.
He's heating up. Yeah. What did you take, of course, from the Suns Lakers series?
That Chris Paul might have a chance here. He might finally be on some. Because think about it. This is the first time in a long time that I know. I almost didn't want to say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was walking on eggshells with that.
Yes. Yeah. Please elaborate.
Because you have the emergence of a star, as Brother Rich just pointed out, with a Kobe disciple and Devin Booker. Okay. You have a supporting cast of budding young superstars like DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, absolutely. But right quick, so you're saying Chris Paul, he can look over the D book and say, "Oh, if nothing else, I know I got a guy that got my back as long as I got his back." And didn't somebody else say that in the last dance? Oh, I'm sorry, my fault. I'll give myself the button.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, go ahead, finish.
And it wasn't the security guy. No.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, continue.
Then, meanwhile, on the opposite side, the lights are the brightest. This is your chance, yet again, to prove all the naysayers wrong. And instead, we find you in one game alienating yourself again from the bench.
Yeah, or
walking out.
The tunnel. Yeah, or dropping your head, or when a teammate makes a mistake, you drop your head. But who's there to drop their head when you make a mistake? Mr. At the top in turnovers all the time, every time, and still terrible from the free throw line. My bad. I digressionize. Continue.
The problem that I have is all of those things, and then after the fact, you want to talk about Space Jam 2. The problem, a lot of the issues that we have are the fact that everything that it takes to be a role model, you've done the opposite, except for the tax write-off with the school, which don't get me wrong. That's great opportunity for everybody that takes it, but at the same time, let's not act like there isn't some kind of additional benefit. Yes, for yourself. So that's where my problem lies with him. Now, thankfully, the league started to maybe catch on that we were tired of seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
Of the Hollywood
teammates.
And I'm gonna lose game 1, my feel it out game.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah. Or these shoulders are built for Tonka trucks or something to that effect.
Yeah, well, the boots are made for walking, right? So go on and we'll
And the boots are also made when there's a whole lot of being talked.
I never have understood why he said that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got my boots on.
Why does he say those things? I don't understand why he speaks to that. Why say that?
Listen, for me, I think it's incumbent upon anybody, regardless of what you're doing, to have learned from previous mistakes, so to speak. You know what I mean? First time you're a victim. Anytime after that, you're a volunteer. If you've been roasted in the past for saying outlandish things, then go look at your own tape and say, you know what? Maybe let me just, not say this or not say that. Even though I know you're expected to speak to the media and all of that. We've had a discussion on that previous about Naomi and so on and so forth. But if you got to have a speech writer or something or another, I don't know, confer with somebody before you get to talking to them, then do that. But to just say those things, to me, there's a disconnect.
Right.
There's a disconnect, and it's disrespectful. It really is. It really, really, truly is. In the last action, of course, in the first round, the Clippers-Mavs. Brother Rich, what's your take on the Clippers-Mavs? We saw one hella game 7. I will admit that. And what we also saw was the
Get yours at NBA Team Store /Clippers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What they are capable of, excuse me, when they are locked in on both ends of the floor. Kawhi didn't have, You know, and this is, again, the argument that everybody uses when it comes to points. Yeah, he dropped 50 and 50 and 50. Like you mentioned, Brother Rich, before we went live, Kawhi only had 28 points. Actually, and I watched the game, and I didn't even realize he had 28 points. But it's the complexion of the game that that jumped out. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the points. It was what he was doing at critical moments. Can we all agree, whether it's the today BA or yesterday, basketball and your success is it's critical to what you do in situations.
Absolute fact.
And in these situations, the Clippers value their offensive possessions, which when the score was fluctuating late in the third, 74, 76, 76, 76, the Clippers had a few possessions that just broke it wide open. What are your thoughts?
Absolute facts. Absolute facts. What I saw in Clipper basketball, and this in particular in Game 7, was what we've been hoping and anticipating, what we thought we would see last year, what we thought that Doc Rivers would bring out of that team last year. And what we are seeing with Ty Lue's, this series is proving Ty Lue to be the coach that we hoped he would be, and he's proving himself to be, in fact, a championship coach, because he's making the right decisions, the right substitutions, and calling timeouts at the right times and keeping the team's head in the right place, because that talent was always there. Yes, and making them live up to the moment, because the talent was always there. There was a question of whether or not they would be willing to come out and live up to that. And I think we saw them get smacked around in the first 2 games and got a wake-up call, and they had to realize that going into the first quarter, the third game, that, look, we could really be embarrassed, and this team would have to be nuked at the end of the year, because this would be utter absolute failure. So what we saw with them is them living up so far to what we as Clipper fans and people who like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George as a team and see what's happening with that franchise, likes the ownership, likes what's happening with them, likes what's happening with that group of players and this destination, because the idea of what they are bringing is this new branding, this new development, this whole new way of doing it in terms of basketball as a team again, and putting together the best team. And they're building it hopefully from the ground up to last for a long, long time.
You know, I've always said signature players make signature plays.
Facts.
In the signature games, most signature moments.
Facts.
I'm not looking at, we can look at the stat lines after the game, but in real time, I'm looking at, man, like we mentioned again before we came on the air here. The one play, there were a few for the Clippers that stood out to me, but one that stood out to me the most was when Paul George drove right baseline. Him and Batum, as you pointed out, Double J, were on the same accord when he drove baseline and threw that pass. Can you make that pass in that tight window, in that moment? Because if you don't make that pass, or if you don't make the right play, or you don't get the basket, who's to say? Because it's all about momentum too. You know what I'm saying? Because no disrespect, but Luka was doing his 1-2 too. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So I'm
a fan of Luka. I'm a Luka fan.
And so am I. And so am I. And so am I. But in those types of games, which is what you got to have in the playoffs, there are moments that matter more than others. You get what I'm saying? And they can make the difference and swing the tide one way or the other in your favor, or when you come out with an L. But I don't. Are the Clippers capable? That's what the question was before we came here.
Absolutely.
The Clippers.
Absolutely.
Okay, you're gonna let me get it out. You're not gonna let me get it out, huh? I'm just saying, man. You know, wait your turn. Wait your turn, Bobby. Are the Clippers? Say that fast 3 times. How much could a woodchuck took? A woodchuck could chuck wood. Yeah. Are the Clippers capable of winning it all?
Absolutely.
Brother Rich. Absolutely. Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Now, hypothetically, because we really not real big on hyperboles, Double J, cut that out. Let's say it's the Clippers and the Nets. Can the Clippers beat the Nets?
Absolutely. The Clippers are the only team, I believe, that can beat the Nets. And you're talking about good old-fashioned. Remember now, we're talking, again, basketball. Those of us who grew up playing basketball and loving basketball, remember that basketball is a simple game. It's about my 5 against your 5, whether it's on the blacktop, in a gym,
from the park all the way to the parquet, and all points in between.
It's about my 5 against your 5. And in the Nets Clippers, we have the potential for the best my 5 versus your 5 left in basketball, because you're talking about 2 teams that are loaded top to bottom, and whether or not Harden is there, we're watching now. Griffin is back. They have a big three. They got a big three.
Yeah,
and so
I can't get that out either.
And they're loaded. They're loaded with shooters. They are loaded to the gills. And but in the Clippers, you have a team that potentially is a match for them, because the question it would come down to be whether Kawhi's, I'm going to use this word guardedly because I don't want the listeners to mistake the way I'm using it. Whether Kawhi's has more dog in him than the people over there on the other side of the fence in Brooklyn. And so you got Kawhi and PG really in essence going against whatever Durant and Kyrie brings to the table.
And
well, no, I'm gonna say that Marquise Morris, and the role players for the Clippers can kind of deal with that. But we're talking now about those two primary players and what they're bringing to the table and them going against each other. But of course, let's not go ahead of because we don't know what tomorrow holds, and there's injuries and there's a long way to go. And we know for a fact that this has been a rough last several months for the NBA.
But you know what though? It's not speculation necessarily when what's being said makes sense.
Okay.
And everything you just said right there, it makes sense.
Yeah, you talking about good old fashioned basketball. This is why the NBA is in a very good place. If you're
finally,
if we're being honest about the game, the NBA is in a very, very and let's pay attention. This is the first year in a long time we remember the game is not being disrupted by really, really bad calls and the camera angles are here.
That's a good point.
They're not really, they're doing a lot of reviews, and the coaches' challenges are coming in at some real critical times. So we're really getting to be a part of the game in a way with the camera angles where they can't really tamper with the game as much as they used to before. And so we are getting
not without being called to the carpet.
Not without being called to the carpet. Thus far, let's hope it holds on this way. Thus far, we're getting a better basketball than we've gotten in a long time.
Yeah, and another thing I'll add to say about the Clippers before you get in here, Double J. When they're on like today, they extended their defense.
Facts.
And you're gonna have to be able to do that. And on the flip side, a Kyrie and a KD, that's gonna be a nice clash. The Clippers extending their defense versus Kyrie and Kevin Durant and their ability.
Facts.
I don't. I'm saying the Clippers are definitely capable when they play like they did today, but then so too are the Nets. You know what I'm saying? Because I just go back. I know Boston didn't have all the horses, but to put up 126 points and still lose by double digits.
But I'm saying that'll be a 7-game. You're talking about a 7-game series. You're talking about old-time Celtics Lakers now. That's what you're talking about. We're talking about this is basketball.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad the narrative.
Yes.
I'm glad the narrative has changed.
Yes.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Because the narrative had become nauseating.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Give it let's like you all pointed out here earlier. Let's break it up a little bit. Let's mix this. Can we get a myriad? if I could use that here. Double J, what are your thoughts? Clippers, Mavs.
Look, I mean, this could have been Luka's namesake breakout. I'm here to stay. I'm taking the torch moment. And I'm referring not to just game 7, but game 6. He had 2 chances at this. And by knocking them off specifically, the Clippers would have been almost equally as great as the Lakers. And truthfully, had they done that, and I kind of stand with Brother Rich here, we kind of felt like potentially the winner of that series could certainly make a significant run.
Yeah, that's fair. That's all the way fair.
Now, who did put his stake in the ground, if you will, was Kawhi Leonard.
Facts.
What he did in game 6 and then what he did today, no less. Because again, his total stat line was over 45 and a half. So
but can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there? I'm glad you mentioned that. I just want to make a reference too. When we think about, and I'm not comparing them per se, but I'm just talking about moments over the numbers or the stats in certain cases, or the thing that everybody likes to use as the end all be all. We think about Robert Horry. Do we think about how many points Robert Horry ever scored or averaged?
Facts.
Or do we think about Robert Horry in big
And
moments?
them shots,
You see what I'm saying? And today, Kawhi Leonard, I don't know. Again, I could care less about his points, but I know in certain moments,
yes,
he
puts
was
in that work.
He jumped at off the screen.
Yes.
And
but this
is what.
Go ahead.
That to me is what carries more weight than everybody. Because there was some guy going back and forth with me on Facebook when I said LeBron quit on his team, and he said, "How's quitting 28, 8, and 8?" I said, "Bye, goodbye." Click. That's where I get off at. You see what I'm saying? You're looking at it from your fandom is being viewed from a narrow-minded point of view. I'm done. I don't need to talk to you, but I'm sorry, Double J. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Well, that was why I was alluding to that the manner in which he had gotten the points, nothing stood out to you. That there was he got them all in the third quarter, all in the first, all in the he was just his consistency
he was in his bag.
And the fact that he was doing it with everything. And to your point, when you brought up the prospect of hypothetically going into a finals against the Nets, my challenge with this team when watching even Game 7 specifically, because Dallas went on a run around the 5-minute mark.
Yep.
And it was Morris and Reggie Jackson that started hitting shots. And what I questioned was, can they consistently do that? Because if those shots specifically didn't fall, they may still be playing right now.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a great question. But I'm going to ask, is it even an even better question to ask once again? When will we? My gosh, I can't get it out. I'm not impartial. All right, fair exchange ain't no robbery. I'll give myself the button as well. When will we, if ever, see Rondo?
Remember now, Rondo is a situational player. That's what we got to understand. You'll see Rondo comes into play when they play a team like the Nets. When they go to these Nets, and that's where Pat Beverly comes into play. They couldn't help us in this series. This series, the issue was that guy called Luka. And the issue was who was going to be able to take him head up. And if you saw what Ty Lue did, he said, okay, look, let's switch his responsibility in the first couple of quarters. On the third quarter and the whole fourth, Kawhi got him. For the last part of the third and the fourth quarter, Kawhi said, I got him, and that was their thing.
And that's a good strategy.
Yeah,
That's a good strategy.
The problem. No,
that was the
issue. It wasn't Boban. It was Luka and what Luka was doing. And his teammates were hitting them open jumpers, and that's what actually kept the thing close when he would pass off on them. But he himself, this is why we talked earlier, basketball is the kind of game one player can do that. He did that. He kept them in that. If he's not on the floor, they're getting blown out by 50.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about the Nets, and to your point, or you alluded to it, Double J, Blake Griffin and Mike James. Was Mike James even on a roster last year? You know what I mean? And then we're not even taking into account Kyrie and KD in that regard. Put them two over there. Joe Harris, Mike James, and Blake Griffin. If they maintain the consistency, as you mentioned, I said before, the storylines of creating a game. Well, I would not be mad if this is one time where the storyline created the Nets and the Clippers in the finals. I'm not gonna lie.
The Clippers finals. That would be epic.
Yeah, that would be epic.
And even if the Nets won in 7, it'll be one of the things that we said.
It's no question.
It was no remember that series. Yeah,
it was no question.
Remember that series.
Yeah, it was
and the Clippers. Any team that lost that could walk off the court holding their head high because them boys they're basketball players. They're the kind of people that they travel to other courts just to play basketball. They're not playing basketball because they're getting paid. They play basketball because this is what they do. Yeah, and that's why I said earlier, there's a difference between people who can play basketball and basketball players. Anthony Davis is a guy that can play basketball. You talking about these? Kevin Durant is a hooper.
Yeah,
Kyrie Irving is a hooper.
The hooper, yeah.
D-Book is a hooper. Kyrie Irving is a hooper. Kawhi Leonard is a hooper. These are hoopers.
Yeah,
they play basketball for real.
Yeah, no question. Absolutely. I'll give you all the Get the button on that one right there. I appreciate all of that, the dialogue, and the commentary. You know what I'm saying? Last thing about NBA before we go on to our what I found was very very interesting. Our PGA segment. Double J, I'm gonna ask you. The Celtics' Brad Stevens goes from head coach to president of basketball operations. Now, and listen, and the reason why I'm bringing it up, no disdain towards Stevens or the Celtics or none of that, and it's stepping on the logo, none of that. What I'm saying is, we bash guys who have not put in the work to garner certain positions. Where the Celtics would have been better off going to holler at Joe Dumars. He's done it before. You know what I'm saying? Where did Brad Stevens? Where they do that at? I want that kind of job. You know what I'm saying? Come on now.
So I had to ask the question myself, and I had to do it from a lens of a Celtics fan. And I think where they're coming from, if you look at his history with Butler and recruiting, and so from a scouting or talent eye, more than because again, as we've highlighted, and it's been on full display multiple times, Billy Donovan, et cetera, that it doesn't always translate. John Beeline, from a coaching standpoint, where you can have the right eye, but your voice isn't getting through. And so only under that context, and that stance has been supported by Celtics faithful, that they believe he can bring in the caliber of players that they're looking for in a similar way that they have with past general managers that, again, they have a long, again, those folks that are generally with that franchise have been there for centuries, it feels like. So it sounds like that may be his final resting place unless he gets antsy or they really take a nosedive, and I don't foresee that happening.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't compare the two literally, but it sounds to me like you're saying or suggesting that Brad Stevens would be better upstairs as opposed to a versus Phil Jackson was downstairs.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got you, Brother Rich. Your thoughts?
I'm going to take a totally different position on that.
Oh, okay, cool.
I've said before, I thought Brad Stevens should have been fired last year. I thought he was a failure as an NBA coach. It was clear. I said this. I've been on record saying this.
Hold on. But the venom in which you say that now, you get this. Listen. No, did you see what he did? He said,
how does a person in the NBA? Go ahead.
No, it's not that what I'm not questioning what he's saying. It's how he gonna stick his chest. You see how he gonna sit up real quick? Let me emphasize this point right here. Check the tape.
See this man right here? This young man right here? Yes. His legacy is alive and well in the NBA. And he has a disciple, Jason Tatum, who I feel bad for, that has to be stuck in Boston with a general manager. Yes, that's what I said. He's going to be stuck in Boston with a general manager who they didn't like in the locker room. Now, let me ask you a question.
But Boston got lineage, though.
But no, here's the problem. Here's the problem now. We're in a different NBA. We're in a different world. And social issues matter. And the ability to communicate with players matter. And here's what the Boston Celtics have done. The Boston Celtics have told the players who are in the locker room who believe that man was not qualified to coach them. They have told them he's not qualified to coach you, but he's qualified to bring in people to play with you. He's qualified to be your boss in another level. And he's qualified to bring in a coach to coach you. Now, they have a critical issue on their hand. And if they don't make the right coaching hire, who can be the solve here, they're going to be in serious trouble here. The Boston is going to, and if they, and I'm saying it on this program, I'm saying it here. If the word that I heard on Twitter that they're talking about bringing in this person to coach, they're going to ruin the Boston Celtics for the foreseeable future. It's going to sound good in the beginning, but it's going to ruin the franchise. because
Who
they're
is it?
talking about bringing in Becky Hammond to be the coach. And if they do that, they're gonna. Her name has already been thrown out there
I heard that
as
too.
a potential coach for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, they
don't do that.
I am telling you, this is what's going on.
Yeah, I just read that. It's something like the New York Post or something like that.
Yes,
yeah.
They're trying to throw her name out there to say that she should be the hire. And if they were to make a move like that, you're spitting in the players' faces again. You see, and this is what continues to happen in the woke NBA. This is what's going on. And
but
the
let me ask you,
Celtics
let me say this though.
Are an example of that.
But let me say this though, right quick, Brother Rich, because I didn't get to. I saw the headline. Let me be specific, because we have to be specific here, so that our words are not misconstrued, because there's a lot of misconstrusion going on in the sports world nowadays. I saw the headline with her name being mentioned. Was it literally that she's being mentioned for the job, or is just her name was being floated in and amongst?
They float coaches' names out.
Okay, gotcha.
Her name was one of the names floated out. That people are saying there's a push on to get her to be the coach of the Celtics.
Okay,
yes, that's a very real push. Very real push. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if I could disagree with anything you said there. Double J, what about you?
Look, we just talked about
Okay.
Believe me. Look, we just talked about this in Portland a moment ago.
All right. And I'll give it's one button, but for both of you all in your commentary. Something is amiss on this program today.
The problem here,
good buttons, just for good measure.
Yeah, we need to check that bottle and see what you're drinking over there, Jay.
Yeah, I know.
You're giving a lot of applause today.
I know.
Exactly.
Hey, you know how in the Last Dance they were saying the fluctuation mic screen? Yeah, we got to look at his.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, it's called distillata. All right, at least that's what's on the label. Okay, I'm just saying, like your boy over there in Sunnyside, LA. You can't, you can't have a top shelf label and bottom shelf contents. My bad. I digressionize. Well, go ahead. What were you saying? Man. What were you saying?
Brother Rich is right. This can set the franchise back, 10 years, and if not longer.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen if she is given the position is they have to be incredibly. I would argue twice as patient as they would with anyone else.
Yeah.
And because they're going to have to, again, deal with the consequences of that one way or the other. Now, the gentleman we just spoke of previously would be the one on the chopping block first because of his history with the franchise and his, what would we call that? Lateral movement or
I don't know. But I don't know what to call it. I don't.
The same way we just said that if you're Jason Kidd or Juwan Howard or Chauncey Billups, you have to take seriously into consideration where the state of the franchise in 12 months. If you're Becky Hammond, you probably would want to stay where you started, which is in San Antonio.
Absolutely.
Because things aren't going the right direction with Pop, where the end
better structured there.
Yeah, absolutely. And most importantly, that's your backyard. You know that place better than anywhere else. So we know in this league, no different than any other outside of course, Jerry world, the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah, who you talking? That's right. Because it's so human nature, I guess. Folks think that the grass is green on the other side, and then until they get over there and see that it's AstroTurf. Hello, I'll give myself the button. Yeah, man, I'm coming with the one-liners today, baby.
As you said, don't step on that logo.
Don't get excited.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, don't get beside myself. And just for that, yes, absolutely. That's 14 buttons in a row. Oh, should I do this here? Absolutely. Not the buttons. No. There we go again. Yeah, I've heard some people. I've not heard, actually. A few people called me in regards to this Brad Stevens thing when it all went down, and I don't know if it's as far stretched to say this or that, but they said they threw it out there. They said this is what's taking place in Boston, Because I guess if you go back maybe a couple years ago in terms of like picks and monies, they were kind of like sitting pretty.
Oh my gosh.
People mentioned to me, they said, what's happening now, what's taking place now is somewhat their karma for how they did Isaiah Thomas.
Absolute
in regards
facts.
to what was going
and
on
we're not
with
even
his,
absolute facts. We're not,
you know what I mean?
even mentioning this, that this is the franchise that ruined a player's career. And
Yeah, when
Isaiah
his sister
Thomas
had
is
played-
still
yeah.
not in the league today.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you know, you can't argue what as you would say, Brother Rich, facts. Look, at the end of the day, for us, it will always be there's no middle ground between absolute truth or absolute no, it's not true. Period. We don't. Hey, what's the whole story or the moral of the story of the King Nebuchadnezzar and the three boys or whatnot? If you're gonna stand. If you're gonna sit, but do not waver. That is what we do not do here on this program. Good stuff, fellas. Y'all know what time it is. And cut. Let's talk about some golf action here to round out today's festivities. The PGA. Yeah, are you ready for this?
Run it.
Do you all know who, Jon, Jon Rahm, Rahm?
We do know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not sure everybody's, if you're a sports head, even just a casual sports fan, I'm sure you've heard this story by now. Jon Rahm. Oh, and when I say the PGA faux pas, by definition, let me tell you what faux pas is. An embarrassing or tactless act in a social situation. And the reason why I throw that out there is because this Mr. Jon Rahm, I'm pronouncing that correctly, was forced, stop, Double J, don't make me hit the button, was forced to withdraw from the Memorial Tournament the other day with a 6-shot lead after, of course, being informed during play, mind you, that he had tested positive for COVID. Now, Brother Rich, give us some idea of what having a 6-shot lead in golf or a golf tournament is. Give us the equivalent. Give us the NBA equivalent of having a 6-shot lead is.
Having a 10-point lead with 30 seconds left in the
fourth
quarter of the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Double J.
And you're talking about he is assured he's going to win this tournament. He's an excellent player. All he has to do is just not hit the ball out of bounds every time. He's going to win this tournament. And so six strokes in the golf tournament at their level is that's a
lot.
Yes, that's a lot.
Double J, what's a 6-point lead? Give us an equivalent to a 6-shot lead.
I would have to go 2 outs.
Atlanta Falcons, Patriots, 28-3. No,
that's not big enough.
Saying.
That's not big enough.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 5-run lead, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs.
Well, I don't
even
know,
a grand slam can't save you.
I don't know. I saw the Indians come back and okay. Well, you said even the grand slam can't save you because you just saved it right there. I had a comebacker, but that's you get a button just for killing my comeback.
Not the button I was thinking, but
that's okay. Well, yeah, no, you don't. No more applause, not for you. You all are done for the day when it comes to applause. But what I found most interesting in all of this was the timing in which the PGA brass went to inform him that he had tested positive right in the middle of. And if you saw the man was emotional. I mean, far be it for me to say, but I mean, should they have done that, maybe handled that a little bit differently, Brother Rich?
Absolutely. And then if you looked at the footage I saw on Twitter online, you see them surrounding him and talking to him. He doesn't have on a mask. The people around him are there. You're talking about, so he's thinking now, remember now, COVID has killed people. So he doesn't know. Has, in that moment, he's thinking, these people have me out here, knowing I'm COVID positive, but also I'm leading this tournament. And if you're going to come and give me this kind of news, let me finish the tournament. And then tell me. But you would think if he's already out there, just let him finish the tournament. Just keep people away from him, around him, and let him and his caddy just finish, because his caddy, he's been with his caddy all day. So at this point, it's too late. Let him and his caddy finish the round. And then, and then tell him afterwards. But protocol, I guess they'll say that protocol dictated, because Out here, they're shutting down. If you may have heard recently that movie sets are getting shut down when people get tested positive for COVID. And recently, a big movie, Mission Impossible, got Tom Cruise's movie got shut down.
I heard about that.
For having a positive COVID test.
Now, unrelated, or related to that Mission Impossible, if you've seen about a month or two ago, Tom Cruise was livid about folks
I saw that.
So whoever it was, you know, I don't know what would be worse. You know, I'd be like, you better test me again because I'm not telling him it's my fault.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Double J, I'll ask you for the PGA doing the timing of it all, and in that moment, you know, informing him that he had tested positive or not. Was it? Can we call it a faux pas, or was it just flat out tacky?
Wow. I mean, it's as close to both, and it's no fault of his own. You're already talking about, as somebody that's been to those events, and we've talked about those. Again, great events. They put on a wonderful show. But let's not pretend here that unless something goes astray, you're generally, you know, even in a pre-COVID world, you are generally away from the action.
Facts.
So under the circumstances, I totally believe that the PGA could have handled it differently and maybe should have handled it differently. But, you know, as you pointed out, the raw emotion naturally, you know, again, we don't know what he was going through at any point in time, because we do always remind everyone that they are human beings. Matter of fact, we just talked about, you know, the Miss Osaka, you know, from, you know, about the mental health side. So we have no idea. So to say, you know, hey, I'm in, you know, a very good position to bring this thing home, and beyond just conquering that mountain, there could have been an enormous amount of things that was ultimately just ripped away from him. My problem is this: in every other sport thus far, we have seen their testing protocols take place that it would have been identified well before he was ever out there.
Yeah, I got to give you all the buttons. Yeah, got to give you the button. Hey, I mean, my gosh, Double J, what a way to hit a walk-off. My goodness. I mean, I am impressed thoroughly today by you and my esteemed co-hosts, colleagues, and all that other good stuff. Yeah, whatever. South Beach, baby. Brother Rich and Double J, of course. And on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. We appreciate y'all for listening. Don't forget to check us out right here on the StreamYard Network, or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, or pick up your favorite live stream, as well as, of course, the shop's Facebook fan page. And for one more again, we are brought to you by none other than the fine folks over at Rocket Digital Media. It's the one-stop shop for all your digital marketing needs. You can look them up on Facebook at RDM Detroit, or you can slide on over to the website. That's rocketdigital.net, ROCKIT digital.net. And when you're there, while you're there, make sure you tell them the BSJ sent you. And if that don't work, just Google it. For my mans, Be Rich, Double J, and all those who follow and support us, we say thank you. I'm Barbershop Jay, and you've been listening to the Shop Report. And remember, the next time y'all want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop.
Go Clippers.
Walk-ins always welcome. Holla, save it.